Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope you had a good weekend as we get ready to start this next week. And we have a busy one coming up here in the weather department. We got a pretty major storm system that looks to go through the middle of the country right during the middle of the week. So that's going to impact a lot of Americans, and a lot of us are going to have a lot of different kinds of impacts. So we're going to break that down in today's video. But before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate that. It means the world to me. Also, though, I do want to let you know I'm not going to have a video out tomorrow. I have a exam, unfortunately, kind of right during the normal time I would record, so it's just not going to work out tomorrow. So I do apologize, especially during such a busy week, but that's just the way that it goes sometimes. So with all that said, I guess we can go ahead and get right into it so I don't take up too much of your time. So starting off looking at radar here, really not much going on. We do have a little bit of rain here moving into sections of the southwest, into parts of Texas, New Mexico, even Arizona, seeing some of that rain right now. But overall, pretty quiet weather here across the lower 48. And looking at satellite, you can see that same general idea, especially here across the east. We've had a really nice day with that Daytona 500 going on in Florida. We've had some cumulus clouds popping up every now and then with a couple of showers, but overall pretty nice there in Daytona as well. But the more important thing on satellite here is this piece of energy down here you see into the out into the Pacific, I guess. This is eventually going to move into the southwestern United States, and that combined with a northern piece of energy and a trough that's going to dig downward, these two components are going to work together to create some severe weather as well as quite the winter storm on the north side. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. We're going to have this snow on the north and then this severe weather to the south, which I guess is pretty common to see this time of year in February, and something we've seen a lot of so far this February is these very dynamic systems. And this system, I think, will be more potent than some of the others we've dealt with, especially in the winter department. Severe weather-wise, we'll see, but this is definitely shaping up to be quite the winter storm for a lot of Americans. And because of that, we already have winter storm watches up for sections of the Rockies here and into parts of the plains, and this is for that system. It's Sunday now, and this is likely going to begin Tuesday into Wednesday through these areas, so it's already time to have those watches up, and we even have winter weather advisories up right now. This is for just a bit of a clipper system moving through, so that's its kind of own complete different entity. But other than that, not too much going on. Again, still some flood advisories, flood warnings here in the southeastern United States just because of all that rain we've seen so far. And, that has just led to those rivers, those creeks, and those streams getting out of their banks here in the southeast. But luckily, we'll have a couple more days of dry weather before that precipitation returns for many of us. So looking at tonight, a pretty above average night for most of us. You can see we are going to have this kind of boundary set up here between this colder air and this warmer air. And that's what's kind of going to help to create this storm system as well. Whenever it kind of moves up in here, it's going to ride that boundary. And because of that, we're going to get that snow on the north side and then severe weather on the south side. So, again, this isn't the first time we've seen this year. This has happened a couple times already. So, luckily, you should be pretty familiar with the overall idea here. Luckily, though, also for those spring lovers, including myself, I've really been enjoying the springtime weather. It looks to continue going into tomorrow. So looking here into the south, look at these temperatures. We're getting close to 80 here through sections of the deep south, especially out into Texas, down here into kind of the Gulf Coast area, and even up into sections of South Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised to see us touch 80 down there towards Beaufort tomorrow. So really spring-like weather, and that even extends up through the mid-Atlantic, I should say, up through D.C., getting into the 60s, Baltimore, Philly, maybe even seeing 60s tomorrow. So this has been a really crazy February in terms of temperatures. It has been quite warm for a lot of us. So giving you a different way to look at these temperatures here, I'll show you the overall temperature anomalies, or just how far below or above average we are from what we should be this time of the year. So going into tomorrow afternoon, you can see we're above average pretty much everywhere east of the Rockies, from the Dakotas down towards Texas and all the way up through the northeast and southeast, above average temperatures. But as we get into Tuesday, you can see this cold Canadian air is going to try to work its way down here from Canada, and that is going to clash with this warm springtime weather, and that is going to help to really fuel this storm system as it moves between these two boundaries. And you can see as we go through the week, these two air masses will continue to battle between this super cold, frigid Canadian air back out into the plains, and then this warmer springtime weather to the south being fueled by the Gulf of Mexico. And again, this boundary is going to set up. It's going to continue before eventually getting into this weekend. That cold air looks to try to finally win out for most Americans, although I think down here really into the southeast. That southeast ridge should still prevail and have warmer than average temperatures before we eventually get into this weekend and we have a whole different kind of weather pattern in general to talk about. So, giving you a quick overview of this storm system as a whole, we're relatively quiet now. That should continue until about tomorrow afternoon into Tuesday. So, especially Tuesday, I should say, because today's Sunday. Today's not Monday. Today's Sunday. So, this is why we have those winter weather or those winter storm watches up here for sections of the Rockies. This is that northern piece of energy I was talking about. This is going to dive down into the Rockies going into Tuesday afternoon. That's going to help to already begin to create some snow before eventually going into Wednesday. Then that southern component moves up here, and that is going to combine with that northern piece of energy, and that's really going to let this system really begin to blossom. So Wednesday afternoon is whenever we look to have that severe weather threat. And you can see that here on our future radar. This is that section of severe weather here that we're going to have to worry about while we have that snow here on the northern end. So as we continue to move this ahead into time into Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening, we're going to get quite the system to set up here. So we're going to have really heavy snow here on the north side, severe storms on the south side, and in between where that spring-like weather is fighting that winter weather, we're going to get ice. So that is also a really big problem that we're going to have here. This isn't going to be, an easy snow or rain situation. There's going to be a lot of different types of precipitation battling over a lot of very populated areas. So, for example, Detroit, Chicago, here into northern PA, it really looks like an icy mess, but you're going to be so close between that rain and that snow. We're really going to have to watch radar trends as we get closer to this event. And even as we get into Thursday, look at this heavy snow working into sections of New England, and then ice as well there south of that snow line, and then good old-fashioned cold rain further south from there. So, this is really going to kind of be a two separate event scenario. So a lot of places are going to get first clobbered by this southern system, especially into New England. If you look at future radar here, that moves into New England going into Wednesday night into Thursday. So this is that first piece of energy, and then that second piece of energy still lagging behind back towards the plain. So you're going to get clobbered once, then you might get a little bit of a lull before then getting clobbered again by that second piece of energy. So, a lot of moving parts here, a very complicated forecast, and I can tell you one thing, somebody's going to get absolutely slammed with some winter weather here. That I feel pretty confident in. But before we talk about the winter weather, let's discuss this severe weather. So this is for Wednesday. You see the Storm Prediction Center already has an area outlined here from northern Louisiana up through Little Rock, back towards Memphis, through northern Mississippi in this kind of shaded area, meaning we have that chance of seeing some severe weather. So just looking at that, or those thunderstorms, and where I think those are going to set up shop. So this is going into Wednesday afternoon here. You can see the Euro model here showing those thunderstorms getting going here. And this would be about 1 o'clock local time there. And then eventually this would move east into that area that has the highest chance of seeing that severe weather there through that kind of hatched area that we just looked at before those storms eventually begin to die down, I think, as they move further east into the Carolinas, not seeing too much, of a severe weather threat back that way. So talking about this snow, though, and this winter weather, there's going to be a really big swath here, and the models have really been hitting over like the Minneapolis area that I think really could see more than a foot of snow out of this. Wouldn't be surprised to see some places past 2 feet of snow. As you can see, some of these areas getting really close to that here towards the Minneapolis area, and that's really just crippling amounts of snow. So this is going to cause big travel problems, visibility problems. Just you're going to have a lot of cancellations, a lot of delays, and then that's even going to stretch here into northern New England, especially up towards ski country, I think, really getting in on the heaviest snow out of this system. But as we discussed, the snow is not the only problem here. We also have that icing problem. So kind of in between that heavy snow to the north side and then that good old-fashioned rain that's going to be on the south side, we're going to get ice to set up. So kind of in this pink area that you see here on the map, that's where we have the greatest chance of seeing that ice accumulate, especially over a place like Chicago. Detroit, I think, really has a good shot of this, and then back towards the Buffalo area, and even into Boston, seeing some icing potential. So it looks like the heaviest of this will be over this kind of swath over Michigan here. So a place like Detroit, I wouldn't be too surprised to see maybe a 1/4 of an inch of ice out of this, and again, that's enough to really cause travel problems and even power outages for a lot of us. It looks like a bit less here back into New England, maybe 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch of ice, but that's still enough to cause problems. So we definitely need to watch this. We'll watch the trends to see if this goes up or down or east or west, north, south. So those are definitely things we will watch out for over the next couple of days. So real quick, looking past this system, again, this will move through, and then as we get into this weekend, it kind of just looks like we have more of a scattered rain event potentially going into this next week. And again, this is still about a week away, so I just want to give you a quick glimpse into this. But it looks like we get some general moist flow here into the southeastern United States to help cause some showers, maybe even some storms, before we'll watch for the potential of maybe another one of these powerful systems ejecting through the central part of the country going about a week out from today. So that is all I've got for today's video. Sorry if, I'm a little off my game today. It feels like this one might have been a little bit off. But anyway, kind of busy. I got homework to do, so this is the best I could do. And again, I apologize for not having a video out tomorrow. You can find me on Twitter, though, which will be linked in the bio of this, and I'll be tweeting, I'm sure, tomorrow about the storm system. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me there or even here in the comments. So with all that said, hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you all on Tuesday.